Welcome to our lovely future humans, our next generation of leaders, the self-led kind. And if you're new, all humans can be whole, but if they don't choose love, they're still angels, of course, but they won't be joining the future human collective. That's because they don't really enjoy the ventral pivot, which reminds me, for our lovely full moon, I have a gift. That which is a new free 10-minute practice for those of you who enjoyed the ventral pivot. You now have the ventral pivot plus the micro habit framework. That way you can work through all the bullshit that we humans get to go through. But remember, because for some of us it's easy to forgive, why is that? Do you know why it's easy for some to forgive, hard for others? Okay, so if you're new, FYI, I'm your biggest fan. You're here to be you, not me, and I get to be the spiritual one who lets you in on fun fact, spiritual ascension and enlightenment, and the frequency of love is a consistency for those who do know how I'm my own one and my own heart. And that's why when God sends you to the desert, meaning there are people who need a bridge and you pray or they pray because the spiritual messages are coming for all, we don't say no to God because God knows what he's doing. Those who like to think there is no God, the spiritual ones, that's cool. We take it all. So there's not a right or a wrong when it comes to what you will believe in, spiritually speaking. However, for the doing yourself bit, there is a right and a wrong. If you are a whole self with an integrated brain and you do have nervous system sovereignty, because you're going to have it, you don't do, I want Maria, I want life now. That's actually for someone who made it look really cool that they knew how to tell you do MDR, child parts work, and somatics, and then they did that. Or here's a better example. I want to say, well, what's it is right? That feels right. You're a cynic, dude. You don't notice that the not crying all of a sudden is a red flag, like a huge red flag. So when people don't know how to be whole, those of us who are playing the 3-year-old right in front of you and a 2-year-old, we're playing the game of life, but it's not virtual reality, please. But hey, who knows? We have flat earthers. Maybe the earth is flat. In the meantime, as the future humans do it and the next generation of leaders, we're not going to pretend that the virtual reality is real or flat earth is real or that monsters are real. We're grounded in reality, so our cherishable beliefs can be put over here. And as we discern, reliable sources involve governmental and peer-reviewed and academia and all of that, which was from yesterday. Plus, also, yes, we're going to go watch and have the private, all of it, bring it all in. And that's why those institutions are who I get to spotlight on Substack at some point. Policymakers, researchers, and professionals such as myself. We support the next generation of leaders and the future humans because we're embodying that future. And so with your ventral pivot comes the capacity to wield your mindset, as always, in favor of a somatic mindset, harmonious, anchored in ventral vagal state. Be you. I'm going to be me, you're going to be you. And so for some of us, it's easy to forgive. And I want to spotlight a next generation leader. I don't know her age, I don't know who she is, but on Reddit she gave the most awesomest answer to this person who said, why is forgiving so hard? Why is forgiving someone so hard? This is an emotional intelligence Reddit group. So we're going to start our full moon messages with this. As 2 blue answers, I think forgiveness is hard because our ego wants justice, fairness, and validation. When we have been hurt, we naturally focus on what was done to us. And letting go can feel like saying it was okay, even when it wasn't. Oh, and those who are listening to me, you can't see me move my hand and my head and all that. On YouTube, people, just get used to this because I'm trying to pretend it's just an audio. I think forgiveness becomes even harder when we take ourselves out of the equation and judge others as if we are fundamentally different from them. I'm gonna eventually go back and circle around and give you the nervous system stuff, FYI. Okay, so stick with us if you're curious, of course. When we put ourselves back into the equation and acknowledge that we are imperfect too, that we have all hurt people in different ways, forgiveness often becomes easier. Not because what happened was okay, but because we stop seeing the other person as fundamentally different from ourselves. Thank you, 2 Blue. So we are all individuals who have an optimal state of arousal when it comes to our embodied brain. If you know it, then you discern it, and you therefore will be using the SMART micro habit, lovely 10-minute check, and you will find benefit as a conscious leader, a regulated leader, a future human, and a person who understands what effective realism is and what it is not. It's not the actual reality. It's the fake reality. No, it's strong emotions that make your thoughts feel like irrefutable facts. So the explanation is enough for anyone who is embodying conscious leadership, future humanness, and actively, our next generation already knows how to do this. Now, the ones who ignore their signs, there's nothing we can do there because they have to be the ones who choose to take themselves to a therapist. If they don't, you can tell them all you want. That's for martyrs, blamers, superiors. In the meantime, Cosmic Heart. So when 2 Blue says, I think forgiveness is hard because our ego wants justice, fairness, and validation. A self-led person doesn't need emotional validation, doesn't need mental validation, don't need you to say your 2-year-old or 3-year-old activated state or whatever's going down is something of your concern. Because that's why I can emotionally regulate as a human being who has not only done the healing, I didn't have to heal because I don't have fragmentation of my embodied brain. I don't have memory barriers. I don't have the trauma charges that poke in a way of self-loathing, gut wrench, torn apart. Okay, so the only trauma charge that I ever had poking out of my heart was with fear, which makes complete sense. I know my personality. I'm a scaredy cat. So as it came out, I was like, wow, this is what Bethany Brand and Ruth Lanius mean when the whole longing and the self-loathing, this is horrible. Like, it feels like ripping yourself. That's just doesn't make me think, vengeance is mine. I think, please go to therapy, go get help, please stop, don't let me know that this is how I feel for people who don't go get help. It's not, oh my God, you're a monster. It's, oh my God, what happened to you? Someone's going to listen to you. There's plenty of therapists. They'll tell you how they're going to get you out of hell. And when you fall back down, we're going to help you get back up. And then the ladder is going to burn and we're going to keep helping you get back up. And it's okay. Maladaptive patterns, we know all about it. And we know about split thinking and we know about everything I do. And so with Dr. Daniel Fox, he's amazing. Okay. And Kylie also, BPD, NPD, they're healable. Anybody says, my colleagues are against me. Just remind yourself there's people out there who don't want everyone. No, basically they haven't healed their core wounds, so they still want vengeance. So if instead you've spent money on healing, confidence, resilience, or you're just a person who didn't lose grace, your self, nervous system wise, you're going to very easily know nervous system safety. And emotional mastery, self-trust, identity, evolution, your name, that's what you are. So people who do know how, justice, fairness, validation. If you're a kid, you're going to struggle with it a little bit. If you get taught right, you're going to eventually understand. Sometimes things happen. You're not going to harbor resentment. That's because you don't have time to waste. So with the prefrontal cortex, you process something and you're able to easily forgive. For those who it's hard, that means their ego, the left, 3-year-old wants things their ways. So misalignments cause a pokety poke in ways that have people not talking to each other. I did that once with my friend, a facade friend of mine, 5 whole years. He taught me how not to ever do it again because I realized he was an insecure person. He still is. So future humans aren't insecure because scientists prove how to use your embodied brain, and kids luckily get taught things and they're curious and they don't listen to the old folk who don't know things. The ones who do, well, we have free will, even though some people think we don't. I disagree, but that's just me. Robert Sapolsky, I haven't read the book yet, can't wait. I do know how the metastability of my embodied brain works though. So with cosmic heart comes commitment. Commitment means you do know how to walk a walk and talk a talk. And so your sacred union is not about twin flame or twin flames per se. It is about your divine empowered feminine, the somatic resource you have, your body. Divine empowered masculine, the mind, the brain, it's integrated. And therefore you move into more of yourself. And that's why from nothing to everything, it's not personal. You can easily forgive those who can't. It's okay. We get it. When we've been hurt, we naturally focus on what was done to us. They ruminate. We don't. That's where that lovely PDF, go check it out, as you will learn how to break free from complete and unnecessary waste of time. Motions last like 60 seconds. Neuroplasticity, the bright side is amazing. Flow state is amazing. You're blissed out. There's a journey for it, yes, but if you are yourself, you choose, I know my state of arousal, like with panic attacks, I will work with it. Because you don't want to lock yourself up and say, I don't go out because of people. I'm a healer. You don't want to be that, which I consider, by the way, mediocre. Just FYI, but those are the other soul age troops, so it's not nice of me to say that. However, in the future, they won't really, yeah. So you know how they say there's other dimensions and other multiverses? Yes, so the lower frequency, it's not about demons or monsters, just FYI. It actively involves epistemically lazy people, which means they're ignorant. They don't know how to use their embodied brain, if they're even like us, because again, human beings also have this tendency to think that we all have to be the same species, or they're afraid of that, which is a whole different species. So, but I'm just letting you in on fun fact, the lower frequency, 3D suffers life, 4D has an unsteady self-image, so they get enmeshed and overwhelmed. That means they don't know how to do the Kali, Shiva, Krishna Lila, and then the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, and that's where Krishna Lila explores the depths of the profound with playfulness. Shiva, no thingness. Kali is tamed because you're not actually taming yourself. You're a master of your emotional plane, and that begins with anger, because otherwise you have no composure, nor do you have discernment. There's your embodied brain gets fuzzy when you get angry in a way that is going to saturate your hippocampus with cortisol. I remember it. I was a kid. So the impossible made possible. I now have science to explain to you how I've been doing mindfulness practices and mind sight, sifting sensations, images, feelings, thoughts since I can remember. So it's all very easy for me. Forgiveness. Easy for those who understand the human gift. Some people suffer life, some people ascend. And the cloak of Christ. Jesus taught me how to forgive, and that everybody has the kingdom of God within them. Scientists prove it, and Stephen Porges proves biologically rude people don't know what they're doing consciously. Merciful Mother Jamal. Okay, so when a guru is out there to dispel darkness, and a spiritual master and guru are one and the same, they don't judge someone based on what they are right now. They will look at what kind of potential the disciple carries, the person, and to see how to bring it to fruition. They'll also understand that it doesn't mean they will. So a guru, spiritual master, a leader, even a personal growth leader in companies, you name it, will not neglect anyone just because they don't have the necessary capability right now. But they also won't ignore the signs. Okay, so letting go can feel like saying it's okay even when it wasn't. There are moments where you will choose to let it go because you're the bigger person. Therapy Nutshell Lady has a video with another colleague of hers how to handle emotionally immature people. We're already in the future and we know how to handle them. Companies that are great will disengage from having dysregulated human beings who are ignorant and epistemically lazy, because they will be their downfall. If they're smart, they will not allow it to happen. If they're stupid, then, well, there you go. This is how easy it is for someone to discern that which works. It's called using mental clarity, which involves in a prefrontal cortex. So to me, when someone tells me something crumbled out of nowhere, I'm like, no. Actively, there's a series of situations that take place before things take place, and I know all about it. And sometimes, yes, things happen, but it's as a consequence of. Once you get to the desert, if I'm a bridge and I'm looking to bring you back home to yourself with prayer and with God, or Akash source, seeking to ensure everybody gets the fair shot to become their whole self. Being yourself is the best gift you could give any one of us. As Sadhguru points out, where's this quote? Hold on for, but not just Sadhguru. I'll tell you, getting to know your 3-year-old. I love to get to know people when they're the real them. The teenagers, I love them too, but they're different because they actually don't have the innocence and the spontaneity, and they really, above all, don't have the vulnerability. And they usually use those stereotypes, generalizations, and social inference that makes them dumb. Because anytime someone's assuming something, it's called, you don't know everything. Stop judging a book by its cover. Stop using ancient history. You know, the patterns that we seek to notice need a person who can stop just applying the same old patterns because you don't notice that you're just doing. So flexibility, prefrontal. Those who see the same things over and over again, we know who they are, which is why they don't continue to join us. They don't have fun. But that's a side note. So the greatest gift you can give to another human being is to accept, respect, and love them. Thank you, Sadhguru. And the most precious thing is life itself. Will you realize this now or only on your deathbed? And as Dr. Daniel Siegel presents, integration made visible is kindness and compassion. This road to integration can be incredibly energizing because what you are doing and helping is someone heal. And it is going to bring out into the world, I'm paraphrasing it a little bit, love and connection that is the birthright for all of us. Life as we move together to create more integration in our world, the lovely Mui. So we have Mui in the forefront, and we know candlelight illuminates damage beneath the feet with wave of lights. That's from me to you. So we've never walked one day in anybody's shoes, which is why, as Two Blue continues, I think forgiveness becomes even harder when we take ourselves out of the picture and judge others. Okay, so when you are forgetting that you're human, we all make mistakes. In fact, as she points out, when we put ourselves back in and acknowledge that we're imperfect too, that we will have all hurt people in different ways, forgiveness often becomes easier. Not because what happened was okay, but because we stop seeing the other person as fundamentally different from ourselves. Okay, so people who are incapable of bringing forth humility do not know how to speak forth the mind and heart of God, not to mention that anybody who consistently makes it seem like they're the only ones who can have a relationship with God are obvious to those of us who do know. If you're spiritual, you have a way with God and God with you. If you're not, we welcome that too, because your higher self is who you will have a relationship with, and we know all about it. Quantum physicists talk to us about intelligence and consciousness, and hey, I'm all about consciousness. And so, as she concludes, again, the not seeing each other different. So I'm a person, you're a person. That's why humiliation, injustice, betrayal, abandonment, rejection, those core wounds are integrated in our lovely ventral pivot and mindset practice, the free PDF, and then the one-day guide. Because for those who it's easy to forgive, like myself, there's an understanding I'm flawed and imperfect, so are you. I just want to hug. You want to hug it out? And that's why it's not, to me, virtual reality. I'm Maria. And my 3-year-old is all over the place. And so when you are self-regulated, you will understand what your optimal state of arousal is. And if I'm not in my optimal state of arousal, then I'm going to get reactive. And that's why I almost reacted, and then I paused. And emotional stuff is not going to be projected. I'm going to notice the signs. Then I'm going to ground myself, and then I'm going to talk like a functional child adult. All you need is love and healthy fear. All you need is love and healthy fear. And that's what we're made of. So when you have healthy fear and healthy sadness and healthy anger and healthy surprise, happiness, and disgust, you look happy and chirpy all the time. And so Two Blue, our lovely future next generation, that's what we have. We have a bunch of people who will know how, thanks Sadhguru, do not try to enslave people around you. They are the way they are. Take charge of this one life yourself. And so with self-regulation skills comes co-regulating. And with this lovely full moon, whatever you've uncovered has brought you to more of that which is ease. If you have had any charges or activated states that come up, then you've had practice to bring forth the I choose to contemplate, but I also understand how the breath work works and how you can't rush anyone who's trying to rush something. That's not how it works, and that's because your body is smarter than the average bear, which is why we're all intelligent sentient beings. One of the things I learned from my attachment trauma courses is that all the bodies are looking to return to their origin, their restorative embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating people. Restorative embodiment is what you are capable of, and so am I. And that's the part of why we hear a lot of people who are simply talking about their healing stuff. I'm here to say we talk about our empowering stuff. And so when you find yourself reacting like Grumpy Bear or Gargamel over a sudden change in plans, you are literally witnessing a neural time travel event, meaning your activated state. To translate, I get philosophical every now and then too. In developmental psychology, giants, I don't know if it's a giant, I have a brainstorming partner here. Giants like Erik Erikson showed that between ages 1 and 2, we are consumed with establishing primitive autonomy, which is why we throw tantrums when boundaries friction. Okay, I'm going to pause. I don't know who you are, Erik Erikson. The first year of life is where your right mode needs a third attunement, repairing rupture to hopefully you have secure attachment. After that, we're not done, since attachment and self can go through different things. So by the age of 2, now the left mode's online. So if you're lucky and you got the secure attachment stuff, awesome. Now that we have the 2-year-old. And so the embodied brain is what we want to remember, and that you're not doing a tantrum. You are an infant with a nervous system. Oh, and you interact with the other nervous system like they interact with you. And so no emotionally mature parent will dysregulate their child on purpose, but they will also acknowledge that if they're bringing something to the table, they can work with it. Just FYI, the responsibility of nervous system regulation is the grown-ups, all of the grown-ups. The children learn based on us. And then there's this whole exchange for those who are dysregulated and unhealed that they continue doing. So long story short though, side note, as I continue to read, by age 3, a researcher named Jane Lowenvinger mapped out the human ego enters its first self-protective stage, where it begins spinning stories, externalizing blame, and interpreting external events as a threat to our personal worth. It's not all people. I was 3 and it's my happiest memory. At 4, I got rejected by boys and I went home and my mom said it's okay. At 5, I stood up for myself, if not 6, a little girl that tried to threaten me to take away a gift she had given me for my birthday. I was told that's not right and I dragged her down the stairs, which my mother today says she's happy I stood up for myself, but I'm pretty sure she told me that don't hurt anyone. So people who share with us the averages, let's just remember, some people are not the same as other people, and studies give us the gist of things, but you have your story like I have mine. When you run your internal check, you are reminding the 2 and 3-year-old neural script that a self-sovereign adult is now driving the car, or better said, you're using your prefrontal cortex. And so when you're capable to use your own embodied brain, your first 3 years of life are implicit memory, in addition to all this other stuff. Those people didn't have the implicit memory, which is way more important because if I remember correctly, before 2 is pre-verbal. So this self-loathing, gut-wrench, torn apart is not a terrible twos. It's not to be worked with this story. It's to be understood for if someone is afraid of love, it's because they didn't get it. And when I said in the Galactic New Year, I understand someone who can't love, it's not because they can't ever love. They could, they need to go and heal themselves. And then they need to fight the urge to continue with their dysregulated chaos and their dysregulated shit, which, by the way, when you get to encounter emotionally unavailable human beings, it don't matter if it's a twin flame, a soulmate, or whoever the fuck it is. It's a spiritual bypasser who's going to burst your balls, because you are going to look at them and say, we're not anointed, we're not suffering. Excuse me, did you forget that you're on the good end of the stick? Meaning you're connected with God. Like, what's the deal here? Like, how do you not understand this? If you're communicating, then you're supposed to be helping all other humans to ascend, not the other way around. Not give them your belief and make them your little puppets. And so when I think, knock, knock, who's there? The people are going to come save your children. No, you're not going to let us take your children, are you? So the human beings who think we're devils and demons, who don't let their children go to hospitals, and who one day I get to know that our species will go and say knock, knock, because we've chosen to respect their beliefs. They want to use the word love. They don't know love. They know a book, and a book that they've decided to set in stone. And I'm like, how moronic are you? Because that's not where God is. That's the word moronic. Because see, this is the part I worked with my words so that I would disengage from insulting human beings who are very clearly distorting things. And God and I, as he always does, chimes in to remind me to get on that floor and maintain a humble state. And as a rational one, I'm here to say the spiritual bypassing community, as well as somatic bypassing, are beyond irritating, but let me allow them to continue with their fun due to them feeding each other fish as they validate. So it's not hard for some of us to forgive that which is called bullshit. And that's because there's no monster that you will be scared shitless of if you're a embodied 5D mystic spiritual one who's like, wow, we're all a big ball of energy now. Wow, that's so cool, God. Hey, listen, the cloak people reject me, and actually there's a bunch of other people who call me names. Pretty sure they just don't like that we think outside the box. But you know what I know? I don't care, because I'm a 3-year-old, and why should I care about someone else's subjective reality and opinion about you, God? Right, God? You're laughing with me, huh? I love it, God. Oh, that's the first time he laughs with me. Oh, that's so cool. So that's how it works, FYI, for this channeler and downloader in front of you. And social inference. This is where people jump to conclusions based on external social cues, group gossip, societal stereotypes, or unverified cultural scripts. By naming this, in fact, it's in a part of one of the journal prompts. I'm not gonna remember which one, but the point is social inference. Bunch of people, they're not rational. They just use a lot of stories, which is why I seriously find it more than just irritating. But at the same time, I understand each time they choose to use the dark sides of neuroplasticity, they choose to continue with their stories. We choose to continue enlightening ourselves and humanity. And each time you do choose stability, presence, and self-led awareness, you strengthen the relationship with yourself and the collective we, which is why no one fucks with we. Me, we, you and I, and more interconnected. Thank you, Dr. Daniel Siegel. So expanding your capacity to live from ventral steadiness rather than defensive reaction when activated, I get to support people who are on a spiritual and personal growth journey with those which are tools that expand your somatic mindset practices, because you're already doing you. And this is where people don't need me to be themselves. The PDFs, which by the way are not mobile friendly, I'm going to start making sure you understand that. They can be open on mobile, but the links don't open up. Even though I'm pretty sure you guys are okay with that, gals and days, because you can read it and check it. I mean, with AI and Google and everything, you could just say, hey, where do I find? And you'll find it. So anyways, you expand your window of tolerance into one of active welcome. And in doing so, you bring forth the next generation of leaders and the elevated, intelligent, sentient beings humans can already be now, and that we are here. And so with our flaws and imperfections, we do learn how to love, forgive, and remember that we all do come from the same place. We all have an embodied brain, but no two nervous systems are alike, and that's why you don't expect others to be like you, and you don't expect yourself to be like others. You model how we can bring our lovely flaws and imperfections out into the world, and we won't inflict those core wounds, injustice, destruction, hurt, because we know how to break the loop of left and right not working together. Okay, so small-minded, defensive, and locked in survival mode people are the divisive ones who continue with their stories. The conscious leader will not be using a 2-year-old no and a non-bilaterally integrated brain. So as you maintain authenticity, wholeness, and the true self, welcome aboard. Conscious leaders, you might want to check out that lovely PayHip store that I've been talking to you about. And again, do not try to enslave people around you. They are the way they are. Take charge of this one life, yourself. Thank you, Sadhguru. But above all, unconditional love means you allow yourself to love people for who they are. Like my facade friend who's still not who he could be. He made a choice point. I remember his choice point. I remember the choice points of my twin flames. Yeah, I remember one in particular. It went, and I was like, oh, yay, they're happy. I'm so happy. And now I'm like, oh, wow, that's what that meant. Oh, my gosh, what am I dealing with here? Is this a person? I don't know. I think that I'm not dealing with a person anymore. And then I reminded myself that that's not the case because I got to be attachment trauma educated. So when I'm meeting teenagers, I'll never forget this. I was around these human beings who are my age, and I was like, you guys are the same 16-year-olds I met. What the heck? The time? What is going on? Oh, my face was like in my head, and then I got explained attachment trauma education. I was like, oh my gosh, thank you for enlightening me. I'm so happy. I was wondering what was happening to these people. Now I just understand that some people are not going to be themselves. So again, adaptive child part, just remember they play their 0-8-year-old non-metabolized trauma time on a wheelhouse. It's not something you will want to label in that way, but I'm bringing it to you because as you start to get older, we're not Gargamel or Grumpy Bears, you realize, right? So with detachment trauma education and the somatic mindset practices, the flow state is, okay, some people are conscious, others are, they're emotionally immature subconscious in their conscious state, and it's okay. We'll figure out the 5 hands. They'll show them to us. All of them, because they don't know what they're blurting out of their mouth, but also because they're not actively controlling anything, let alone are they mastering their embodied brain, let alone do they really know how the subconscious works. Because if they did, they would work really well with it. To encourage, comfort, challenge, or strengthen. That is where prophecy, speaking forth the mind and heart of God. So the lovely word of wisdom diffuses conflict, provides clarity, and divine revelations, prophetically revealed hidden messages, right? And so outside of time, you can predict events of the future. And one thing I want to say is there is only 24 hours. Your time is precious, and sharing who you are is. And so with that, it's always amazing to be with the 5D collective who are moving into the 7th dimension. And as we do personal and spiritual growth, we embody the next level of consciousness. And our soul spirit consistently ascends, and we participate in this world, while the institutions who continue to disregard that all are children of God, and they continue with a good team and a bad team, and they fail miserably, they are not failing those who believe in them, that say we're rejected, and so they are supporting people who are not capable, who don't actually like change. So they're not flexible, and the change movement and the capacity to expand towards new is something they're not interested in, which is why do not try to enslave people around you. There's your free will. And so when someone thinks that there's only one right way to do something, and they're telling you it's God's way and it's from spiritual way, it's why people who will continue like that will fail, because God comes through every one of us at the level of the heart. And as scientists point out, some of them, just because we prove things, as we keep proving them, God doesn't get deleted. If we prove the Big Bang, what are you going to do then? And here's where I agree with the people who say that, because I, in my bones, believe in God. In my bones, I'm a spiritual one, which means you won't ever be able to talk sense to me, not in this lifetime. And for the future, there is and wander, because science and spirituality are not enemies. Ignorant human beings are incapable of bringing 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 together, and ignorant because they ignore that they get reactive when people speak. There's no need to get reactive when we're speaking, but if someone is not reparented and they're not a mature human being in their prefrontal, they're triggerable. So words will trigger them, sentences, phrases, hypotheses, and then they follow the people who tell them what they believe in, which is why they're not grounded in reality. And so again, you don't force a donkey to drink from the good well, because that donkey will be stubborn like anybody else. And as they land on Pinocchio's island, and they are in Never Never Land, they continue to isolate themselves, and they will not be joining us to continue doing what we do best, which is evolve and expand. And it's not going to look any different than today, but it will be looking better. The ones who think that we need some cataclysmic event, by the way, yeah, that's not how. Let me see how to bring it to you. I had a timeline a long time ago. We're on point, on schedule. But I've also had other downloads, and those downloads are where, when you are completely at ease because of faith and because of your spiritualness, you will know what your soul's purpose is, and you will not question it. And you will know what God's will is, and you will not question it. Then you will also understand why there's not evil around you in the way of it being some kind of force that could ever overcome or do something that would break life. Because life can't be broken, because the only ones who think it can be destructed are the same ones who are self-destructive due to their suffering, due to their family in the head, inner critic, outer critic. So suffering means unsteady self-image. It means that a default mode network is not being wielded by the person. We don't have a self-sovereign human being who's a regulated leader or a future human. We have a fake one. Fake ones, you don't pat them on the back. You do forgive, because their maladaptive patterns of behavior are not their choice. It is from their origins and their first 0 to 8 years of life that they are presenting who they are, which is why you will also respect that which is them. And then with their systems, they update. So those who think that humanity is broken don't have faith in humanity. Those of us who do have faith in humanity know that even if broken, humans can be fixed, because that's where the lovely mindful therapists will explain all about that, but they're not really broken. Their embodied brain protected them in an environment that was unsafe. So if someone doesn't know how to love, like someone who doesn't know what panic attacks are, I'm not going to point a finger and say they're evil. I'm going to understand they don't understand what it's like, because they didn't get the good and the sick. And then I'm going to make sure to be the one integrated human being who can say, you know, you do have a soul in there. Yeah, you keep saying you don't, but I know you do. And there's a child inside of you too. And there's a bunch of funny stuff. I know there's a vulnerable one. There's all these things. So you can keep hiding. You keep doing whatever you're doing, but that's not how this works. And so with this full moon again, let's love and forgive. For those who it's hard to forgive, it's a process. If they don't want to, we don't make them. And for the spiritual, mystic, and mindful community, welcome aboard. Those of you who are new, check out PayHip again for the new PDF, the new one-day guide, and for the other somatic mindset practices. For those of you who lead yourself, the next generation, and who are completely enjoying that which is the life you have been gifted. Of course, we would love for all of humanity to do so, and we will continue to make sure it happens, because that's what spiritual and sciences and people who care do. We don't do it for our egos, even though our egos are a part of it, but we do it for the bigger picture. And so the next generation, some will be upset at us. Some won't trust systems. Again, we've seen it. It's not the first rodeo. And we'll be back with some more stories and some more channel guidance and food for thought. But that'll be like, I don't know, tomorrow or another day. In the meantime, if you have questions, again, check out Substack. That's where you can drop them in the chat. And thanks for stopping by. Be yourself, the smart way, stable, mature, adaptive, rational, teachable. And let's share with others how to forgive and how to continue expanding and bringing, let's make the world a better place for you and for me and the entire human race. There are children and people and dying. So let's try and speed it up. What do you think? Could we? Okay, I'm going to go now.